Educator at Keswick's Wise and Well Center for Healthy Living in Baltimore, Maryland. Today I'm going to take you through some exercises and balance training specifically that can be done on just a single step at home or outside. If you have a set step for exercise, you can always use that. Just put it near something steady like a wall so you have room and something to hold on to. But most people don't have those at home, so I'm showing you ways to do some balance training with just a normal flight of steps. Again, it's always recommended do this at the bottom step rather than the top. Make sure everything's clear around your space. Any animals are kind of enclosed so they don't go running by. This is a safe, effective way to train without any special equipment. So if you need something to hold on, it's always good to be using some steps in your home or even outside, something nearby that you can hold on to if you need. But the idea is to go through this training meant to help improve your balance. You'll get a little bit of strengthening work and a little bit of endurance training as well, as your heart rate will get up a little bit along the way. So I'm going to start out relatively basic because this can be a good workout for a variety of levels and balance skill. So what you're going to do is always start at the bottom step, give yourself space, but I simply want you to start just alternating, tapping your foot, mostly the ball of your foot and your toes, onto the edge of the step. Not really shifting much weight. You're just alternating left and right, causing you to shift your weight, but just lightly tapping your toes. And I'm taking you through about 15 on each side. The idea of this workout is you can follow along with the video each time, or as you have a better understanding of the workout, and as your skills progress and you can train differently or longer, you might just do this in a different fashion. So kind of the first thing to do is just alternating tapping your toes on the edge of the step. From there, I'm going to ask you to apply a little bit of pressure and actually shift your weight. And what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be lifting the back heel up off the floor that's still on the ground. So what this looks like is I'm going to step one foot up, still just the toes or the ball of the foot on the step. I'm going to shift my weight, slide my hips, and just lift the back heel up a little bit off the floor, then step back down. I'm still going to ask you or recommend that you alternate this workout by left and right. And that causes you to shift weight. That focuses a little bit more on the balance training aspect. If you see from the side, I'm lifting my back heel up off the floor, just shifting my weight a little bit onto that front leg. Again, you're going to want to do anywhere from about 10 to 15 turns on each leg. Good. So after you've done the taps, you've shifted your weight, you lifted your back heel up a little bit, that's actually going to progress us into stepping up a little bit higher. And you're going to lift that back foot up off the floor. So we're not quite at the point where you're stepping up all the way onto the step, but you're simply picking that back foot up off the floor. Again, this is going to be different for a lot of people, where this might be a little bit more challenging to some people's balance. Other people might be a little bit more basic at the beginning. You might start with this level of exercise right from the beginning. You might go a little bit quicker or do it for a longer period of time. So maybe do it for 30 or 45 seconds rather than 10 to 15 repetitions on each side if you're comfortable with your balance and you can push yourself a little bit differently. Okay, so the next step was putting your foot up off the floor, lifting that back leg, and then coming back down. Alternate foot is on the floor, back leg lifts up, goes back down to the floor, and just continue that pattern with me. Again, the tendency is you're really going to want to bring that back leg up to the step so your feet are together, but we're not quite there yet. The idea is we're going through different stages of balance training, and sometimes it's harder to do the basics and do it step by step rather than go through everything right from the beginning. Okay, so it's a little bit trickier not bringing that second leg up, I know, but practice it. Again, this is just as beneficial and effective of training as it is putting that foot all the way up like so many people want to do. We're going to go 3 more on each leg. Probably breathing a little bit harder, your heart rate's getting up a little bit. Your legs might be getting fatigued if you don't do regular exercise on a regular basis. And we'll pause there. Okay? Very good. Now throughout this, I'm not using the handrails, but again, use them if you need or choose to. You can use both, you can use one. Most important thing is to do what you can. Always work at the bottom step. And if you're not comfortable using steps, normally you can still do these exercises because we're just working off a single step itself. Again, really good balance training, strength training, and a little bit of endurance training. Okay? So we stepped your foot up on that step and we lifted our back leg up a little bit. Now we're ready to actually step up onto the step. Again, hold on if you need to for the surface or for support. Again, if you are holding on, don't pull yourself up by any means. The idea is just a little bit of support so you're safe. So what we're going to do here is you're going to step one foot onto the step. The back leg is actually going to come up and join, so both feet will be on the bottom step itself. The idea here is I want you to, as best you can, alternate your lead leg. Now, don't let that become frustrating or interfere with your pace. I'd rather you just continue to go up and down, even if it's not the alternating pattern as I recommend. The idea is don't overthink it, just keep yourself in motion to continue the training. So what we're going to do is stepping one foot up, the other foot joins, so both feet are on my bottom step, and then you're going to step one foot and then the other. All right, I'm going to continue this pattern. You can watch my feet for the first couple, but then kind of just get into your own rhythm. Think about your own balance and posture. Shoulders are back, head is up, kind of looking up the flight of steps without leaning back. What you're trying to do is when I say alternate the lead leg, that's for the step up. So I'm stepping my right foot up first, right foot down, then left foot up first, left foot down. All right, try to do that pattern as best you can. If that gets frustrating or too challenging to your coordination, the other thing you could do is you could alternate in sets and reps. So you could do leading with your right leg only 10 or 15 times, and then just with your left leg leading 10 or 15 times. That might be better for some people early on rather than alternating. All right, we'll pause, catch your breath. Very good. So I'm taking you through about 10 to 15 on any of these given exercises. The idea of this workout in this video is really to teach you how to do the workout on your own. So you can follow along as we go, but after the first couple times and you get familiar with these exercises in this training, the idea is for you to do it a little bit more efficiently. So you might be doing sets of 10 or 15 reps or 30 to 45 seconds and then moving to the next one right away, a little bit different than the video goes through. The other thing is you might skip some of the early ones, those early toe taps, or you might just do the toe taps or shifting your weight a little bit onto that front foot and lifting your back heel without actually getting to the step up for a few training sessions. So everybody's different. It's a good fit for a beginner or someone that's a little bit more advanced in their training. Even if your balance is completely fine, this is a really good workout and exercises that you can do to train your endurance and your strengthening. Again, but I always will continue to stress, only work at one step at a time. Again, working yourself up to the full flight of steps or to multiple steps at once really isn't the idea or the goal for this type of training. So the next thing we're going to do is I'm going to introduce actually stepping up onto the side of the step. So the really important thing here, whether you're going forward and back or side to side, always make sure there's room for your foot on the step, both up onto the step and then back down to the floor. The idea is not just your first foot, but that second foot, we need to make sure there's a place to go. So the idea is, I'm going to turn to the side to demonstrate the side steps here. But when you're stepping up, I want you to take a nice big wide step, which is good training itself. But that way, make sure there's room for that second foot to go onto the step. And then when you step down during this training period, make sure you're taking a nice wide step so there's room for your second foot to go back down onto the floor. What I want you to do and avoid as you're starting the training and going through more repetitions or a longer period is we want to avoid kind of getting caught in the air and not having anywhere for your second foot to go, okay? Again, this is real life, functional type training and scenarios that in everyday life, if you're going up a couple steps or on a curb that you can't move out of the way, you'd always want to make sure there's room for that second foot and you're positioned well to be safe and to go about your everyday life. Now this is primarily about exercise training and strength building, things like that, but it still comes into play the same basic principles and the same thought process we want to carry over to everyday life. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to turn, so my flight of steps is next to my right leg, but I'm simply going to go through the same progression that we did with the forward step. So we're going to start with just your right leg. Obviously we won't alternate left and right, but we'll just stay on one side for a set of 10 to 15 repetitions or 30 to 45 seconds or more if you're a little bit better conditioned and your balance is stronger. So all I'm doing is going to alternate. I have my heels still up in the air, but the ball of my foot and my right toes are just tapping the step, coming up and down. Still shoulders back, looking straight ahead, eyes on a vertical target is best. Not sliding or dragging my foot. And the leg that's keeping me steady and balanced, that knee is slightly bent. So I'm going to do 2 more. And pause. Very good. So not much different than we did when we were facing forward. We just tapped our foot. Now we're going to apply a little bit of pressure, shift a little bit of weight with our right foot onto the step, and your back left heel is going to come up a little bit. So I'm going to step up. I'm not going to pick the left foot up. It's going to stay on the floor, just my heels coming up, and then back down. Stepping up, shifting over, and back down. Now continue. I'll take you through to about 10 or 12. The idea is once you get comfortable with this and you're familiar with the exercises, it's likely you'll go through the workout and the training and just check into the video when you need an update or you're ready to progress. You may not be doing them at the exact same timing as me for these. 1 more and pause. Good. So that's where we are stepping your right foot up. Again, I'm stepping to the side. That's important. I'm not facing forward, not nearly as much as I am watching the video and the camera for you, but you'd be still facing forward straight ahead without all this turning and twisting. So our next progression is where you picked your back foot up off the floor, your toes come off the floor, and you've just shifted your weight onto the right foot that's on the step. So I'm going to step up, my left leg's coming up off the floor, and then putting the left foot back down and stepping my right down. Again, primarily you're getting some really good balance training and some weight shifting going on, but you're also getting a little bit of strength training, more so for people that are a little bit less active or don't do this type of exercise. And if you're doing this for a period of time, you're going to get your heart rate up. So kind of 3 exercises in one. 1 more. Good. And back down. Very good. So again, these are the same scenarios we went through going forward. Now we're just doing it from each side. So what we're going to do next, our last scenario, is when we ultimately stepped both feet up onto the step and then back down to the floor. Again, making sure there's room for primarily that second foot to join the step or to step back down onto the floor, not kind of getting caught in the air with nowhere to go. So you're turned to the side, still facing forward, nice tall posture. I still have my right leg leading me. And you're going to step up real deep onto the step, all the way against the next one. Shift your weight and bring your left foot in so both feet are stepping on the step, looking forward. Now shift your weight over, step your left foot real far down on the floor, making sure there's room for that second foot, my right foot, to then join. And you're just going to continue along in this pattern. Now my eyes are starting to stay up so I can maintain my posture. Occasionally you might need to look down, but you really shouldn't if you've set up a safe environment for this training and workout. And there are still railings in front of me should I choose or need, or it might be a wall, and that's fine. Legs might start getting tired if you're going right from the very beginning of the training in the video all the way through. You're definitely going to start to feel it. Now as you start to get tired or more confident, don't slip up, try not to get lazy, and not take those full steps, because you still want to make sure that second foot is safely making contact. We're going to do 1 more up, 1 more down. Very good. All right, you might need to shake your legs out a little bit. Now I'm going to simply take you through the same progression going from the side the other direction. So now my left leg will be leading me. It's important to go through each of these progressions, do each of them, whatever's challenging for you along the way. You might not do the taps early on if you're already okay and it's not challenging enough for you. You might just go right into stepping all the way up and all the way down for a longer period of time. That might be challenging for you. For others going through this training, you might just do the toe taps for the first few sessions and then feel more comfortable picking the back foot up a little bit and then eventually stepping up and stepping back down. Keep that in mind. All right, so turn to the side, still nice tall posture, finding a new vertical line to watch with my eyes. And now I'm stepping my left foot up real deep on the step and then back down. Stepping up and back down. Now right now when I say step, I'm really just tapping my toes in the ball of my foot. My left heel is still up in the air a little bit and my right leg is just balancing myself. It's not doing much more. So this is just an individual tap like we started with all the different scenarios. Do 3 more. Now for some people this might be really easy, but it might be a good warm-up. So maybe you still do it. You're going to get a little bit of stretch for your hips and your legs. If you didn't already go through a formal stretch or warm-up that would really be recommended before this training. Just going through the very beginning, even if it's that easy or basic for you, might be a decent way to warm up if you are going to really challenge yourself later in the step workout. So from here, still facing forward, I'm going to step my left foot up on the bench, applying a little bit of pressure down as I shift my weight onto the left leg, and now my right heel is coming up and then stepping back down. Left foot steps, right heel raises up. Imagine that string on the top of your head as we talk about for balance training, pulling yourself up tall. Notice I'm not leaning or arching my back. And when I say shift my weight, that means I'm really sliding my hips over to that left leg and distributing my weight a little bit different. This goes for the exercise training and for everyday life, just doing this up a normal flight of steps or up a curve. All right, one more. And we'll pause there. So again, that's where we're stepping our left foot up onto the bench and just your back right heel is lifting up off the floor. So our next progression, if you haven't gotten a hold of the pattern yet, is we're going to step your left foot up on the bench, shift your weight, and now your right foot is actually going to lift up off the floor. It's not joining onto the step, but your foot is just lifting off of the floor, creating a little bit different kind of challenge. All right, so nice tall posture. Your left foot's directly next to the step. Remember, you're not turning or twisting as much as I'm showing throughout the video as I'm giving the instruction. You're continuing to face straight ahead. So you're going to step your left foot real deep up on the bench, shift your weight, pick your right foot up off of the floor, and then step back down, both feet to the main floor again. Left foot on the step, pick your right foot up and back down. And I'll just continue it on. I'm going a little bit quicker pace as we're going through the scenarios more and more throughout the training. This is realistic for your everyday workout, but as you get the hang of it and feel more comfortable, you're probably going to go a little bit faster. Faster doesn't necessarily mean better, but you could go a little bit faster or train a little bit longer to challenge yourself as you progress. So we're going to go 2 more times together. And you definitely feel it early on. You might have thought this was relatively easy or basic. We'll stop there. But it is definitely challenging. You're going to work up a little bit of a sweat probably, and your legs are definitely going to feel it from this type of training. Even if you do a lot of walking or a lot of different exercises, this is different than your body's often accustomed to, which is really important. So we're going to finish up this type of training is where we need to step up both feet onto the step itself. Still turning with my left leg on the inside, because it's the last scenario we haven't gone through yet. Big, wide step over with your left foot so it's against the next one. Shift your weight, and now you step up and join your right foot to the steps, and then step your right foot out real wide, back down to the ground, and then your left foot steps down. And just continue that pattern, stepping over and down. Nice tall posture, you controlling the pace. Occasionally glance down, make sure it's safe. It's especially as you get a little tired, fatigued, or you get more confident. You might start to not make full contact on the floor, but that's something I want you to do. Make sure both feet are safely settled on the floor or the step. As always, you could be using the railing or the wall. My recommendation for these is if you are going to hold on for support, stay relatively close to that. If your support's too far away and you have to really lean or reach, it's going to be counterproductive because it's going to throw your balance off. We're going to do 2 more. 1 and 2. Very good. So again, if you go through this whole workout, this whole progression of exercises where we started forward and then to the right and then to the left, really good training and balance exercise that can progress. I'd recommend starting with the toe touches and then progressing through where you're shifting your weight, eventually getting up to the step and getting back down. Again, even if it's the first few aren't as challenging to you, it's a good way to warm yourself up until you get into the more challenging exercises. Really good balance training, getting a little bit of strength work and a little bit of endurance work all into this workout session. Follow along with the video as you need. Then from there, you can hopefully progress where you're doing it more times or for a longer period of time, maybe doing it on your own. Feel free to snack on the exercises, as we say, meaning you might do 1 or 2 of the different scenarios at one part of the day, and then you come back and a few hours later you do a couple more. If that works better for your time or your body or mentally for you, that's fine to do. Just remember incorporating these maybe 3 or 4 times a week at least. Honestly, this type of exercise, depending on what else you're doing, you could incorporate more frequently. Other ways to vary the same exercise is to use different footwear. All right, so right now I'm working off of carpet with tennis shoes, but using maybe no shoes, just socks. If you have different surfaces of flooring and steps throughout your house, do it in different places. You could also do this training outside if you have a safe curb or a flight of steps that's outside but the surrounding environment is safe. Do some of these exercises in those locations as well. It's good. It switches up your motivation, your brain, how you approach the exercise, and again, it carries over to everyday functioning things and environments that you incorporate and have to address in everyday life. So thank you for joining me. As always, if you have any questions, reach out to the Wise and Well Center at Keswick, and hopefully we can give you some direction going forward. Thank you so much. Bye.